Greetings, everyone. We're so happy to be here. To some it's morning, to some it's afternoon, and to some it is evening. Whatever time it is, we want to say welcome. We're so happy that you're here with us today. My name is Leslie Montgomery, and you are tuned into LKM Kingdom Living. Listen, I just want to ask you a few questions. Do you have your paperwork in order? Is your house in order? Say something happens and you needed to get to some papers quickly. Do you know where they are? Say something happens. Is there someone that can get to your medical records on time or get to your medical records to help you in the nick of time? Or do you have a household that is full you're a caregiver and you live in a multi-generational house? I want to say multi-millionaire, multi-generational house. Do you know what to do? And that's what we're going to talk about today. And as we get started, the ending, all that, I got to work on that ending. Every time I hear that ending, I kind of think of Bill Cosby with his doorbell, and he fixed it himself. It kind of gives me that kind of I always think about that. But as we get started, I want to say welcome to those that are joining us, those that might listen later. We hope that there's something that is said that will cause you to get the scurrying and getting things in order. You know, a lot of us, and it doesn't even have to do anything with age, but I want to say a lot of us are getting older now, and we need to have some things in order: life insurance policies, wills. Or are your papers organized? If something happened to your demise, can your family find things quickly? You know, those type of things. I'm going to say this real quick before we get started. I'm so excited for all my guests that's here today. You know, when my grandfather passed away, I was looking for some papers. And when I went to looking in the file cabinet, I was pulling everything out. And there was this one little piece of paper that was in the bottom of the file cabinet. And I pulled it up. I said, oh, maybe this is it. And I opened it up. It was my original birth certificate. And I didn't realize that I was born. I was adopted. You know, I had my real mom, but my dad adopted me, and I never knew it. I'm 38 years old. I think I was 48. I wasn't even 38 when I found this out. No one had ever said anything to me. And if I didn't find that paper, I don't know if I would have ever known. But just to think that it was in that file cabinet all the time. So are we organized? Do we have things the way we need to have them? Are we in a place that if something happens, can someone get to our paperwork fast? So I want these ladies to introduce themselves. I appreciate them. This is not it's none of their first time being on. So it's not like a new rodeo to them. They know what it's like to be on Leslie's Lessons Learned. But I do want them to introduce themselves for the ones that don't know you and what you actually do. Since Renee is at the top of the screen, we'll start with her.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Leslie. I'm so excited to be here today. And so everyone, my name is Renee Jackson, and I am an experienced caregiver and household manager. Recently, transitioned from full-time family care following my parents' passing, currently serving as an action coach and co-manager of my son's nonprofit supporting community-driven initiatives. That's it in a nutshell. Nice to
Okay.
be here. Like that, huh?
Okay, thank you so much. And
You're
she made
welcome.
that seem so light and easy. Miss Leslie, come on and introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. Leslie, thank you so much for having us. We're excited to be here. My name is Leslie Bournes. I'm the CEO of my household, but I put in the title the CEO of your household because I want to just spread some information. My goal is to help others um, sort of coaching as well as consulting. Find what works for you as far as the things that you have to deal with in your household. I'm here trying to work with people to alleviate stress. And one of the things is just to reduce stress, but also give you the confidence in managing what you're responsible for as far as your house. And that includes, as Leslie talked about, paperwork and documentation. That's just one of the things that I work with. And I'm so happy to be here.
And I'm happy to have you. Anna, come on through with the information you have.
Hi, my name's Anna Chatelaine Jackson. I'm a medical secretary by day, but I am here to help you navigate your healthcare um, organization so that you and your family are up to date and know how to proceed when things happen.
Yeah. So as we talk about these things, I want to start with um, you, Leslie. I want to start with you because, all three of you made it seem so easy what you do, but it's not easy. And one of the things you always tell us, Leslie, is to make sure we have our papers scanned in, our papers in the right order, and not just um, life insurance policies, not just birth certificates, but for the plumber, for your mortgage, all these things can. So can you just enlighten us a little on what that's supposed to look like, or help us arrange things to make our life so much easier?
Okay, thanks, Leslie. I'll start with this. Everyone is different, and it doesn't matter, as you talked about age. It starts at any age. Your children, as they are navigating through school, do they keep a record of their school grades? As they're going into college, it's important to keep a record of what your syllabus was when you first enrolled in school, and as you got navigate through college, that you're taking those courses so that when you get ready to graduate, you can show proof that that original syllabus, you've completed that paperwork, you've completed those courses. Because sometimes people will get to the end of a school college, and they find out they need to take other classes. So it's a matter of tracking those things. As far as life and managing a household, you've got important documents, as you said. There can be your documents on your mortgage. Do you have a copy of your title insurance when you first purchased your home? Because if you get ready to refinance that home, you might need to pull out that title insurance. So, the idea of getting a space that you want to maintain your documents, whether you do it electronically, scanning, keeping them on a portable disk, because people are slowly more so going away from having actual paper, um, and more so having it electronic. As we've known earlier this year that we had fires in California and different places, some people actually had a to-go package ready to go with their important documents with them. So my suggestion is to be able to have things at a moment's notice. You've got categories of documents. It could be your essential documents, like you said, your social security card, your birth certificate. You could have your driver's license, those things that are quick, they're in your wallet, they're ready to go. But just knowing where those documents are, and tips are, as you get something, structure it where you're going to maintain it, whether it's a binder, whether it's electronic, and then keep those things because someone's going to need them. The other tip is to make sure that someone, it's not just one person that knows where those documents are, but someone else in your household knows. If you live alone, then you have a friend or a family member that you said, hey, if something happens to me medically, here's where I keep X, Y, and Z.
Other than just the house key, right?
Yes, other than just the house key, because you never know what's needed.
Yeah,
And like you said, we're getting older, so it could be including your parents' information or a relative that you're caring for. So that's just a couple of things that I would like to share as far as your question on documents and maintaining them.
that's good. Thank you so much. And I want to go to Anna because her part is kind of Well, these ladies are called the trio. Let me say that first, because everything that they have to share is connected and they work together to help a household be in a better stance or to help you have a more solid foundation. And one of the things that Anna, and before I go there, you talked about, Leslie, you talked about the report cards, and it made me think about my father because when we would bring our report cards home, and if it wasn't looking so good, he'd go and pull out all his report cards, sit them in front of us, give us a lecture about how our report card's supposed to look. And then I
Mhm.
started laughing because I had all of my girls' report cards. Now they're in there, one's in their 40s, one is in their, 35, 36. And I still had all their, I gave them their folders. I said, here, because I had their letters from when they was in band, their letters
Mhm.
from when they was cheerleaders. I had everything in this folder and I gave it to them. Ashley was probably like, I don't want this, but I had their report cards and everything. So I get it. I don't know. I get it. So, Anna, one of the things that is very important and very key to what, along with what Leslie was saying, was talking about our medical records. And tell us your experience with dealing with, because you work in the field, and not only do you work in the field, you have experience in the field. And that's one thing about each one of these ladies, the things that they're talking about, they have experience in it, still working in it. Leslie helping other families still today, trying to get their homes in order, their mortgages, and just different things, showing them step by step how to, how you say, maneuver, not maneuver, but get through life, how to make things better. You know, sometimes we can get in a situation or we can get in a place. I know there's times I'm like, I put something up, but I put it up so that I'll know where it is. And when it was time, when it's time to have it, I don't know where it is. And then I have to search for it and find out where it is. So having those things all together and remembering when you use them, if it's not in where you have it scanned, put it back where you know that you have it. And because a lot of times that's what tricks us up. We put it
Mhm.
down and then we're like, I put it down, but I don't remember where I put it.
Yep.
So it's important that we treat those things as though there's something that we need to care about. Come on, Anna, tell us about the
So,
medical.
my experience, and it's twofold. One being on the side where patients interact with me, and as a caregiver, maneuvering through having taken, my father from provider to provider and having to recite all of the information all over again and remembering everything as I go from one provider to the next provider because they're not on the same electronic system. So I found that I needed to keep notes. I had to walk around with a notebook. I needed to have everything on hand so that I didn't waste the provider's time, but I
Mhm.
was also upfront so that way my father could get the care that he needed. And then it dawned on me that there's a lot of things I didn't know. And I had to constantly ask my father. And sometimes he would answer, sometimes he wouldn't. And it got me to thinking that, you know, our family members, when we go to these appointments, if they're in a position where they can't speak for themselves, and we have to pull teeth to get this information, it's very hard.
Mhm.
The People show up at the doctors and it's because one provider sent them, and when you ask them, well, why are you here today? I don't know. Dr. So and so said I needed to be here. And so we don't know the reason. They don't come with a referral that says the reason that they need to be there. And it's a little bit of a struggle to effectively treat them. And I found it quite disparaging because as I look at our community and they age, I found that secrecy of not wanting people to know what's going on with your medical health, or because you worked so hard and you didn't take time, you get to the doctor and you're just as lost as the person who's there with you.
Mhm.
So I just want to help people understand the need to keep track of your medical history, the importance of sharing it with your family or at least someone that you trust.
Mhm.
And also letting your children know what's what's your history, because there are things that can be passed down and they wouldn't know. So it makes it a little bit difficult for them to, one, get proper treatment, two, to get tested effectively, because you don't know where to start. But if there's a family history and you know family history of heart attacks, and you could say, "Oh, my great grandfather, my grandfather, and my father all had heart attacks this age or around this time in their life," then the doctors know early on when you present certain symptoms where to start and not start at the beginning. Maybe they can start someplace else that will give them full knowledge of the testing and the medication to get you off to healing or to get you off to making things better. And I think we take for granted sometimes, because I hear conversations when I'm sitting at the front desk. Oh, well, they went to school for this. They should be able to treat me. But they get upset that we ask 1,000 questions. You have to be ready to answer questions, and you have to be honest with these answers, because they're determining factors. You know your body better than the provider.
Mhm.
You know what's normal for you and what's not normal for you. They're going to go by the textbook. But if you don't provide the proper information, your health care and your treatment will be off kilter. And I just want to help people understand the importance of maintaining your history, knowing it, and sharing it with someone so that everybody down the line is just as prepared. Maybe you weren't prepared, but you're leaving a legacy in essence for your family, and they can take better care of themselves, and they'll know what's effective treatments for them, and sometimes just simply what not to do, so
Mhm.
that way they can have a healthier life.
Yeah, that's good. When I used to, after a while, going to the doctor with my grandfather, and they would say, "Oh, is this your daughter?" And he would say, "No, this is my wife," because I was going with him and making sure that things was in order and all. But even though I had his paperwork and things like that, it still didn't register how important that part of of it is. When I say that,
Mhm.
it was just something I carried along. But I want to tell those that are listening. Let me just say, greet everyone that I see, those that are in the chat. Miss Viola, Sister Alfreda, Sister Alicia, Sister Posh, Sister Dana. Uh, um, thank you all, my sister Linda. Thank you all for being here today. And those that have not said anything, thank you so much for being here. Now, one of the things I will ask that you would do, if you have a question, if you would put it in the chat so that we could, not we, but these ladies here could answer your questions to help you better get your life in order. What they say, get your life together, and this is a part of getting our lives together. I have my paperwork, and Leslie, don't say nothing, but it's in a folder.
We're all a work in progress. I'm continually upgrading things that I have. So
Ooh.
it's a work in progress.
Yes, I do have them in a folder. I have, my last colonoscopy. Everything is in this folder. And then I have a list of my medications. Not like I have a whole lot, but I have a list of my medications, the ones I used to take
Mhm.
in case there's some effects that took place because I used to take this or whatever. I do have those in place, but you know, it's so important that we have these things in order so that others can get to them, and so that sometimes it's just a matter of life and death for real. And in the process of that, we have to be in a place that if it is that someone can find out what they need to find out. And Renee, hey Renee,
Hey.
how are you?
Okay.
So Renee, she has many experiences, but we want to talk about the caregiver today, that portion of it, and of a multi-generational house. And I remember your parents when they were still working, your dad being the truck driver, your mom having her uniform on, way back then. I remember them being healthy. And then with me being here and seeing the transition as they went along, you as a caregiver, and then it became you and Ria, and you two took care of both your parents. No one was in the nursing home; they were in their home to their last day. And on top of that, it was you, it was Ria, it was the children, and it was your grandparents, and that takes a lot. And it took a lot, and you have experienced a lot just from being that. And through your experience, you can help someone else know what they need to do, how they need to do it, and what steps they need to take. So tell us a little bit about your experience.
Okay. Wow. So this is it, it's a lot of different things, but one thing I want to share that's just been really resonating with me lately is now that my parents passed in May, and so am I a caregiver? Am I not a caregiver? But I'm always going to be a caregiver, so that's settled. Um, and so and my parents were married for 64 years. As you said, the last maybe since 10 years or so, we've been like actual caregivers. First my mom, then my dad. And it's been a journey. It's been a process, and it takes an entire community. We went from when my mom had a stroke in 2015. I can remember the doctor, the head cardiologist talking to me about my mom, and he said she's going to be in the hospital for quite some time, maybe a couple weeks or something. We didn't know, but he said do not leave her here by herself. And that was like so startling to me. It was unsettling, right? Because number one, we were just trying to embrace the fact that she had a stroke, and that she wasn't presenting well at the time. Of course, the diagnosis was terrible, like not good. But for him to say, don't leave her here. So we as a family really had to take that information, because you have to take every bit of information that they give you and try to process it in real time. So I talked to a friend of mine who was a doctor, and I told him what the head surgeon, and he said, listen to him. Don't ignore what he's telling you. He's giving you some information about the hospital that you're in. And so with that said, then I talked to my sister, and then we came up with a plan. And while she was in the hospital, we did not leave her by herself. So that meant someone was in the hospital at her bedside with her around the clock.
Right.
And that is a commitment all by itself. And some people, and this is what I think, something I want to put a pin right here and say, no judgment, right? Everybody's situation is different. It is important that we take this information that we're getting now, apply it now, even if you're not here. So if it does become your turn, you are prepared. So I'm going to say that at that time, me and my sister, my dad was still driving and doing all the things. The three of us, I think I had a nephew in his 20s. Between the three or four of us, somebody was in her room until she was released from that hospital. Now, when she went from the hospital to the rehab, again, a different scenario. And I'm just saying, everybody's scenario is different. Everybody's situation is different. Your family structure is different. So she went to the rehab facility, which she was going to be in there for, they said 30 days. But if you know anything about insurance, and Leslie can help you on this, I think at day 21 is when the insurance changes.
Yeah.
And you have to make sure that either they are have another bed, or you re-up that insurance, or you have a plan in place,
Mhm.
right? Or that the cost of that insurance changes. Um, so what we did is, when you're in a rehab, you can't stay all night. You can only stay till
Mhm.
about, depending on the rules of the rehabilitation place,
Mhm.
I think 11:30, and then you can't come back until 6. Well, we were stalkers. We're up in there. Yeah, we were being crazy. We're like, what? Because the first information was, do
Do
not
not leave her.
are in that so in the rehab, it's a total different scenario. It's definitely more laid back. We found her medication was rolled up in her blanket one time, and we had to adjust. I mean, you become a caregiver instantaneously. It's not
Yeah.
like you're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna go to caregiver class, and then I'm gonna do it for a while, and then like sometime in January we're gonna take over caregiving. No, you literally,
Mhm.
usually, you roll into it, right? And then it can become like small, and then before you know it, eventually, as life progresses, the need progresses. And so, I will say, you have to just, one of my things, another informative thing is, share the information. Share
Mhm.
the information as you get it. Share it. So when mom was in the hospital, we shared that information. When she went to the rehab, we shared it. Who am I sharing it with? In to out. First, siblings, whoever is in the immediate circle, whoever cares, because I mean, come on, it's family. So some people is just like, I live 10 states away. What can I do about that? Right. So
Mhm.
you you share it with who, and then if you're in a church and you have some, we had some, my parents had some great church people, who were willing to support and come in and help. You get those, you become very good at over communicating the need, right?
That's a good
And
point. That's good. Over
yeah,
communicating.
over communicate the need. I can remember the first official family meeting that we had was in 2015, when my mom had her stroke. And this was a big deal for us because my parents were not sickly parents. So I mean, according to my dad, when my mom had her stroke, it was so challenging for him, because he was just like, she's never been in we neither one of us have been in a hospital since baby,
Mhm.
right? There's no, I think maybe, ER visits that ended that night and they went home. But to say stay the night in the hospital, so that meant them two had never been apart. So that was another. So we're managing her, and not leaving her bed, but he also needed our help
Mhm.
Mm.
too. So the caregiving, it can spread out if you really want to be honest, very, very, like, quickly. And so we did have to help dad manage his understanding, and over communicate, but don't over communicate. Some things, you just needed to make sure he was comfortable, and he wanted to make sure that we were taking care of his wife. Let's be honest.
He
That's
didn't
what
play about Mary.
he did not play about his wife, and he wanted to make sure we were taking care of her. And he was second. And so, with that said, I will say, first things first is, get all that you can get, learn what you can learn, over communicate, make sure that you start identifying your community. The community will change. It could change from day to day. um, One of the things that I will say, recently I was talking to someone, and she was telling me about, and this is kind of really goes along with how we can't judge people when it comes to caregiving, because
Mhm.
every family is different. The structure is different. The need for the person is different. Are they in a facility? Are they in your house? Is one better than the other? Like, it's
Mhm.
so many different. So we have to take judgment off the table. And I'll say this, that can be hard. Like I said, with my dad, he was like, "Are you guys taking care of my wife?" And that's what he wanted to see. um, Judgment gets in the way of real care. So we have
Mm.
to move judgment out of the way. Who's doing it right? Who's doing it better? And we just have to start trusting whoever the key person is. That key person needs us to trust them. If they're the ones that's going into the doctor's office with that person and they're coming out and saying, well, they said mom needs to be, somebody needs to be there around the clock. If you come back with around the clock, like this is not the time for you to just, but it can happen. But
It happens.
it
Mhm.
happens. But my encouragement is family, this is not the time. If that key person or those two few key people are saying they said around the clock and I need somebody to be able to go up there tonight because I'm working in the morning, then either you're gonna be on board or you're gonna jump off board.
Mhm.
And then we don't want to replace people. We don't want to lose people. We want the team to work together. So and not judging is another thing to help the momentum continue to go. And one of my other points I'm going to say, hopefully I'm answering your question, Leslie. Am I answering all your questions?
Yeah,
Okay.
keep going.
The last point that I wanted to share is I wanted to say to not judge, but I also wanted to say how to not lose your team, because really you're in the team is constantly evolving. The team is constantly you're cross training the team. Everybody is learning, what does this mean that we have to care for someone? Okay, am I giving showers to someone now? Is that person living at my house now? um oh, and don't mention people coming into your house.
Mhm.
That was it took us a couple years before we even allowed someone come in and give mom showers. We was like, oh no, mom's not gonna want anybody to help her give her showers. But
So
we
let's
didn't
stop
know
for a
that
minute because
also.
what you're talking about is like home health aid. No,
well
yes, or people
well
just
i want to
wanting to
say
help.
I want to say that, let's stop for a minute, because that is
Yeah.
a lot of information. Let's just stop right there. So let me go back and just say at this point, the three things that I can say is that it's a journey. It's not a destination. You got to build your team. Your team is always evolving. And I'll stop there, and we can talk about the home health aid
Well, I,
another
I, I
time.
don't want you to, I want you to talk about what you was just getting ready to talk about. I just want you to bring a little clarity. Are you talking about friends? Are you talking about neighbors? Are you talking about home health aid? When you say coming in and starting to give mom a
Oh,
shower or, you
well,
know,
honestly, it's a journey, right? So it can begin with family, extended family. For us, for me it began with for my mom it was a niece who is a her profession was a CNA. She professionally worked in a day what do they call it? A daycare for
Adult daycare.
adult daycare. So what she did for us is she started coming in for about, it was about 40 minutes in the morning. And but she was family. She is family. I don't want to say
right.
what, she is family. So it started with bringing her in, introducing her to mom, say, mom, okay, tomorrow she's gonna come in, she's gonna give you a shower. Now up until then it was me and my sister, right? So this is something that we had discussed and we had talked about. It had kind of gone on for a while that we needed that we needed that help. And so yeah, she was family. It started with family, but she that was her profession. So
Mhm.
she also helped us on how to do some things that we didn't know how to do.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I remember when Papa was in the rehab, which was my grandfather, and there was a nurse there, and I guess she worked night shifts, and I happened to come in, and she's like, "Oh, what's your name?" And I said, "Leslie." She said, "Oh, you're the one he's calling all night long, calling."
So,
And I was like, calling my name. She said, "All night long, he's calling you, Leslie. Leslie, and we don't know um, their state of mind when they go through different processes, you know, when they're in those states and when they are, what am I trying to say? It's as they're going through the process, a lot of times their mind and everything else is less and less. And you see the effects of it as they go through. Now, when he was going through and he was in his 90s, he had been driving and everything. And like you said, you don't know, all of a sudden he wasn't. Sometimes it is a surprise. Some people might see it coming gradually, a little bit at a time, but as a whole, and because it's a sacrifice, not just for them, but it's a sacrifice for you as well. So, Leslie, and I'm gonna come back to you, Renee. What are some of the things that people need to do for preparation to for when things like this happen? I guess that's the best way I can say it. You're more of the technical part, not technical, but the paper side of it. I'm saying, you
Mhm.
know what papers need to be done, and I know that, and I hope it's okay for me to say that you helped Renee a lot through the process to set some things up. Is that okay, Renee? I didn't say nothing wrong,
I
did I?
mean, girl, you said it already. If it's not, are we deleting this?
We might.
Girl.
It's out there. No, and I love Leslie for it. I'm 100%. I also encourage people all the time to get with the CEO of your household because you need that. You need that person to kind of help you make sense of it all and the craziness of it all. So,
Mhm.
and that's Leslie. That's her profession.
So I will say, first, I thank Renee for sharing her story because a lot of people can relate to that in some manner. As we continue to have multi-generational households, people coming together and living together, taking in a family member or a neighbor, things are evolving. So you said, what are some of the things you can have? First, if you have, as you're preparing to share information, it's important to share. You know, we've had an old saying, you know, what stays in the house, what goes on that house stays in the house. That harms us a lot of times. So someone is ailing. Um, Anna talked about medical history. So you person needs to know who the doctors are, what's your medical insurance information, where can they find the list of bank accounts in case I get sick. This is what I have. This is my house. This is my deed. And it sounds like a lot, but it can be done in specific chunks of time and categories.
So can I stop you for 1 minute?
Mhm.
Is that where the power of attorney would come in, or this is before that?
I think even before the power of attorney, as you're organizing your information, that you're setting it up so that if somebody needs to know where medical information is or where your bank accounts are, that you've already identified those and listed it.
Mm,
Now, as power attorney comes in the a lot of times it happens at the hospital. Someone will say,
mm.
this person is sick. Do you have a power of attorney? If we are proactive, we may start thinking about who would my power of attorney be if I become sick? And what does that mean? That gives someone authority while you are living
Right.
to do things business on your behalf. And that's someone that you trust. That's someone that has been dependable, responsible, someone that can assist you when you need help. And it doesn't have to be age. It could be someone's in an accident, all of a sudden things have changed, and I need someone to advocate on my behalf.
Yeah.
So as we're preparing, you know, I was talking about important documents. your social security card, your medical information, your bank accounts, your insurance, life insurance, health insurance, those types of information, having those things in order. If you're getting at the point now you want to thinking about, yes, who would I want to be my power of attorney? Then you start thinking about those things and sharing that information. It doesn't mean they take over. It's something you can pull back and change, but you make sure that you are preparing yourself because you don't know what's going to happen. I'll give an example of my neighbor who has been very um, diligent about making sure she had her medical information in place, that she had a will, that she has a power of attorney because she's single. So she didn't want people to go around finding that information. She worked to get that information in order. Um, there's still things that she still wants to do, but she did that process, which if anything happens, at least that's in place, right? She's put someone on her bank account. Um, people know where her deed is to her home, what her desires are. So yes, those are things that are important because we take it for granted that, oh, nothing will happen, but we don't know.
We
We
have time.
Yeah, we don't, we have time. And as we see, again, I use the fires in California. People had to go. Some people didn't have, they had to look for their insurance policy information or call to try to remember what that number was. Do we have that information where we can grab it, or it's on our phone or somewhere so that we don't have to look for that? Um,
So yeah, and one of the things that
mhm,
you encouraged us to do was to scan stuff in,
mhm.
to
Yep,
use the
scan it
scanner, put
in.
it in a folder, have it scanned in. So
Mhm,
I think that, but I don't want you to go any further because I want to go back to the power attorney as
mhm.
you're living. A lot of people don't know that that's only, it used to wasn't, but now it's only for a living person. What do you need at, in case that person is no longer living, so that the state doesn't come in and take over and you still have authority?
Okay, so I'm gonna preface this first that I'm not an attorney. I always tell people that. But there are many ways to protect what you have. Estate planning is one of them. Do you go and prior to set up an estate for your property, for your bank accounts, so those are protected, and assign someone as the agent of that, or someone to manage that, or some people do a will. It is various ways to do that. You want to get legal advice, but as you see, there are many um, advertisements about estate planning because you're protecting those things. But in some cases, very simple. You have a home, you have a bank account, and you have a car. If you passed and you were married and your spouse is on those three, it's simple. They're already can be transferred over. That doesn't require probate in most states. That just requires now you're updating that documentation. So it just depends on what your assets are, how you want to protect them. In your have you created an insurance policy and listed out who gets that? Does somebody know where that insurance policy is if something happens? Does somebody know where you want to be buried? Some people, they say, oh, grandma had everything in order. They had X, Y, and Z down. Others, they're struggling to find out what's the next step. So it's important to share what you want as far as if you're ill, if you need us, if you have want someone to take care of you, what your wishes are, so that people aren't struggling to find that information out. And again, I'm a work in progress. I'm still updating information. I will tell my daughter, I'm getting ready to go out of town. This is in such and such a place. She's like, Mom, why do you keep telling me? Just in case,
But my daughter Ashley's like, do we have to keep going over? Yes, we do.
but it's we're at an age level where everything is online. you hear estate planning, you hear all of these things. Just think about what works for you and take advantage of those. And everything is not as expensive as it seems to be. So you said power of attorney while you're living, then who is assigned as the person to handle your information as you pass? So that could be under the estate planning. It could be that in a will, someone is named in a will to handle your affairs, um, do what your wishes are with those things. So there are different categories for different processes.
Yeah. And I want Anna to, we only have a few minutes left, but I thank you, ladies. But understand, just because you are the one taking care of the person, you might not be the power of attorney.
That's correct.
And you got to be okay with that, you
Mhm.
know. Uh, Whoever they deem to be the power of attorney, don't get twisted, don't get out of sort because you're not the one, and even though you're taking care of them. My sister was the power of attorney, even though I was the one going to the doctor and all, but she was the power of attorney. And when it came time to make decisions, she was the one that made decisions. We didn't have time to get out of sort about it. And we understood it from the beginning that that was her role. So if that's someone's role, and don't be like, I'm not doing anything because I'm not the power of attorney.
Mhm.
Like I think it was Renee was saying,
Mhm.
one of them was saying that it's not time to, in other words, be in your feelings. We don't
Correct.
have time for feelings when things like this happen.
Mm.
We all have to pull together and make something happen. And one of the things I was thinking about was even with the doctors and maybe going with the maybe say you go with your elderly parent or elderly aunt or something because you have played in all those roles and you see that the doctor is not probably the best choice for them, but they want to still stay with that doctor. What is some advice you can give towards that?
Great question.
Okay, so before we get into that, I just wanted to add that a healthcare proxy is
Mhm.
very important to have on file as a
True.
person who's going to these appointments because you can make decisions.
Mm,
And if you need to request records, you won't be able to access it without having that healthcare proxy. And now with the new laws on the books, even though parents are paying for their children up to 26 for health insurance benefits and might require certain things, you're not able to access them anymore. So as early as the age of 18, you should have a healthcare proxy for
so
your
how do you go
children.
about that?
The doctor's office can provide it. New York State has it online. If you Google healthcare proxy, you'll be able to find the form for your state. You add the state that you're in. Again, being that I am in the field, I see this a lot.
Mhm.
Children need information on their parents because they need to take the next step, but we can't give them the information, unfortunately, because they don't have documentation saying that it's okay. And
That's
again,
true.
we have this notion where what happens in the home stays in the home. People are very secretive about their health
Yeah.
care and
Mhm.
what's going on. So it's very important to have that in place. And as far as changing providers, we did have an incident at with my uncle when he was starting to dementia was taking over more, and we saw that the provider he had was not the best fit for him. They weren't addressing it. It was just, oh, don't worry about it. But we noticed certain things about him, and we changed the provider. We had the conversation with saying we're going to a new provider, but he got up and went to his regular appointment a couple of weeks later, and nobody knew where he went, and we were all in a panic because he took a walk. Thank goodness it was close to the home. Normally he would drive, but he took his walk to his doctor's office, and it wasn't the best thing. And we just had to reinforce it. But we had that conversation with him. We did find a provider that was going to be a better fit for what was going on in his life,
Mhm.
but it was a conversation with the whole family, cousins, wives, everybody was involved in this conversation because we knew we needed to take steps to help because the decline, it was there, but if you didn't pay attention, you missed it
Mhm.
because of who he was. He was always laid back. He didn't speak a lot. He's just very chill, very laid back. He listens, he interacts here and there. But if you didn't notice, you wouldn't have seen if you weren't paying attention that these he was declining.
Mhm.
And he could be mid step walking to go somewhere and his body forgot what it was doing.
Mhm.
And when we mention it, it's like, oh, what do you mean? But he had a rare form of Alzheimer's. Now I'm hearing more about it, but it exists where the body's just, it could be in motion and it forgets.
Mhm.
It forgets that it was going to take a step up. It forgets that you were in the process of sitting. So these conversations are important. And the moment you notice something and you're going to attend at least one doctor's visit a year with your parents, someone should always attend at least one appointment just to gauge what's going on. Because again, they'll go, no, everything is fine. They just refilled my medications, and that's not the case. So it's important. One person should attend and ask questions. So that way you know if that provider is the best fit. If that provider is seeing what you're seeing, is that provider addressing certain concerns? Does the provider know? Because sometimes you might think the provider is not being helpful, but they just were not aware because these symptoms and changes were not brought up to them. Like Renee said, communicate, communicate, communicate. And even if the person says no, if you notice it's not the best fit, allow them to continue with the provider that they're seeing, but add the people that they need to go to. Yes, it's more work, but at the end of the day, you're looking to keep them comforted and you're looking to keep them getting the health care needs met. So if you are able to get them to the next provider based on the fact that they keep the current, just go with it. At, and it will flow. It's work, but it will flow and you will get what you need by playing along with them a little bit and helping them get comfortable. And once they're comfortable with the new provider, because it may happen, it didn't happen for me with my father because he just didn't like medical providers, but he went. I made him go. He went. And we got what we needed at that time. But you have to be diligent. You don't have to be forceful, but you have to be assertive about it. So that way they can take it and participate, even if it's in a little reluctant manner, but you can get done the things that are important.
Yeah, I love this. Thank you, ladies. Now, it's 6 o'clock, but I do want to know if there's any last thing because this information was so valuable. Thank you for taking the time to share it. And it is a lot. We could have did a month of just this because there's so much to share with others so that they, when it's time or if they ever have to experience it, they can have some idea what to do. Thank you for mentioning the patient care. What is it called, Anna?
Healthcare proxy.
Healthcare proxy. Leslie's telling us how what to do with the when while the person is alive. Once the person is gone, Renee is telling you how to set it up. That and she really didn't even get to talk about the multi-generational part of it with the family and trying to maneuver and do everything. Both you and Anna, how to do things in order to make things run smoothly. But I want to thank you. Are there any last words? Anything that you feel, any of you, that you want to say?
I would just say first, thank you, Leslie. I think one of the things to remember is that you don't have to do it alone. As Renee said, it takes a team. It's not one person can't always do everything. So the more that you reach out with, whether it's family members or close friends, to assist you with those different areas that you might need help in, especially when someone is ill and there have to be a caregiver and they have to know the medical information and handle it. You don't have to be alone. So you can definitely employ, you heard the have conversation, share information, because it does take a team to navigate the various processes of life, period.
Yeah, you're right about that. How about you, Renee?
I think I would just say create space for family meetings, create opportunities to over communicate. You're going to have to create them. They're not going to happen. You want them to be, I think, like Anna said, go to the doctor at least once a year with that person. Depending on the need, you need to start with once a month having that family meeting and having it structured. Again, Leslie Bourne is that's something that she helped us with a lot, was just how to structure the family meeting and not walk away with anyone walk away with one item. There's like one thing that you needed to address in that meeting, and then everything else can wait until the next time. But you have to start somewhere to get people in the mindset of talking about the thing that you probably never even had to talk about before.
Mhm.
So,
That's good. Anna.
The one thing that I would say is whether young or old, pay attention to what's going on with your loved ones. And if you notice something, don't be afraid to address it, because some things are better handled when it's caught earlier than later. And medications have come a long way, but
Mhm.
if you step up a lot earlier, there are things to slow certain things down, and there are ways to getting help a lot sooner to make your life a lot easier. So be active. And all it means at the end of the day, honestly and truly, be a part of the world that you're in. Don't just show up, but participate. So that way you get the full experience and you make better decisions. And I promise you, it will be a lot easier.
I love it. Thank you, ladies. This you have just heard from the trio, and they work together. So, look, if you need some help or you need to find out or just get them to help you make those steps that will help your life be better. I put their Facebook and then I put their Facebook link in there so you could DM them, and they'll be more than happy to assist you. You might have what is it, what they call a 30 minutes free consultation, and you might have to pay after that. But listen, they are available. And I know I want to say it. I don't know whether I can say it or not, but I must kind of say it on the slide that
oh,
somebody,
now here we go.
Well, Renee
Uh-oh.
said you already said it.
Uh-oh.
Go on and say
somebody,
it. Go on and say it.
What you gonna say, Leslie? What?
somebody has a medical app that'll be out soon, and I can't wait for it to come out.
There we go.
Yes,
See what
it
we
will be. It's coming. Yes, it is coming.
And I think that that'll be so much helpful for us. Hey Ria,
Thank you
thank you
so much,
guys.
Leslie.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Leslie.
Yes, thank you. We
This cannot
appreciate
be a
you.
one-time conversation.
No.
No.
We'll have to do it. And I need to get y'all before y'all really get busy. And and I'm gonna have to get an autograph and all that because your time is so valuable for
With
others.
Leslie's lessons learned, we got to get your autograph.
Exactly.
But thank you so much. I don't want to hold you up any longer. This was great to me. This was
Mhm.
well needed, and it won't be the last time that we do it. Man, the chat was so quiet tonight. I was like, are they still here? Is anybody listening? But listen, we'll be back again. We'll do this again because, and don't think, like they've all said, that because you're a certain age, this is not something that you need. You never know what might happen, and you need to know this information. And why not start it now? So until we meet again, have a great week. And we pray that it was something that was said that you'll take the advice on and begin to put some things in order. Have a great evening.
Good night. Thank
Thank
Good
you.
night.
you,
Thank
ladies.
you.